Hey YouTube, it's ICU, and today we're going to be unboxing the all-new massive 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Alright, and getting started, if you guys want a chance to win a brand new 4th gen Apple TV, just be sure to rate this video up and stick around to the end for complete instructions. I may also hold an all-new iPad Pro giveaway, so again, I will talk about that more toward the end of this video, so just be sure to stay tuned. Now first, let's talk about the price structure of the all-new iPad Pro. So just here inside of the Apple Store app, when we go to buy the iPad Pro, we do have a few different options here. So when we tap into it, we can A, select our finish, and then B, select our capacity. So we actually do have the space gray model here. You can also get it in silver or gold, of course, just like with the iPhone, except we don't have the rose gold color here for the iPad Pro. Now, as for storage configurations, we do have 32 gigabytes or 128 gigabytes. It starts at $799, goes up to $949 for 128 gigabytes, and that's the only one that you'll actually be able to select if you want Wi-Fi and cellular, which when you add that extra cellular component, it bumps it up over $1,000 to $1,079 USD. And this iPad's definitely expensive to say the least, but it's not targeted toward everyone. Apple's audience with this is of course the pro user or the prosumer user, meaning it's more for people who utilize their iPad for business or design purposes than really pleasure or just media consumption, though I definitely am going to get a ton of fun out of using this guy to actually watch movies. And it was also released alongside the Apple Pencil as well as the Smart Keyboard. Unfortunately though, my local Apple Store didn't have either, so I wasn't able to pick them up. I really wanted to do a video for you guys, so just be sure to click the subscribe button down below next to my channel name. That way you'll be notified when I release my coverage on the accessories for the iPad Pro. Now first, let's talk about the box. So on the front, we just have a very basic picture of the iPad Pro, a profile shot actually, and it just shows how thin the device is overall. Remember, we have a 12.9-inch display, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick comparison so you can get a sense for how ridiculously huge this box is. This is a regular 9.7-inch iPad, so this is the iPad Air 2. It's not an iPad mini, this is an iPad mini, so it's an absolutely huge box for an equally huge iPad. And now back to the packaging. Both sides simply have an Apple logo and say iPad Pro, whereas the top and bottom appear blank. Looking at the back, it confirms this is a 128 gigabyte iPad Pro Wi-Fi only, and it confirms that it does include the iPad Pro Lightning to USB cable and USB power adapter. Now, normally at this stage, I'd use my knife to cut through the plastic wrap protecting the box, but unfortunately, I've already created this video once and I've already unboxed this iPad Pro. My camera, for whatever reason, decided to corrupt the video file, so I'm having to reshoot it. So guys, just kind of bear with me here. We're not going to cut through the plastic. Instead, we're just going to open up this box. All right, so now setting it down, we're going to lift the lid to reveal the iPad Pro sitting directly on top in typical Apple fashion. So as I stated before, because I did have to repackage this iPad Pro, I did put it back exactly the way I found it during the first unboxing. I even recovered it with this plastic that it came shipped with. So at the bottom here, you'll notice that we do have this convenient plastic tab that we can use to pull the massive iPad out of the box with. And this, of course, is just part of the plastic wrap protecting it, which we're going to take off right now. And one other interesting thing is that this is actually more of a frosted plastic than the previously all see-through plastic we've seen when unboxing other iPads. So let's go ahead and set this iPad off to the side here and we'll return back to the box. So on the top, we just have a little envelope here. We can use this tab to also pull it out, and we're just going to open it up to see what it comes with. So on the top, we just have this little iPad Pro pamphlet. Let's go ahead and open it up here, and getting a close-up, you'll notice that it just goes over some of the physical aspects of the iPad Pro, and it just talks about the smart connector as well as the 4-speaker system. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. Let's go ahead and set this off to the side. We also have an iPad info sheet and 2 Apple logo stickers. And down below at the bottom, we have something kind of interesting. So we have what appears to be a longer Lightning to USB cable for actually charging the iPad Pro with. So let's go ahead and take it out here, and you'll notice that this is actually longer than the cables that have come shipped with other smaller iPads. iPads. And finally, down below here at the bottom, we just have Apple's regular power adapter for iPads. So even though the iPad Pro does feature a massive battery, definitely bigger than the previous largest iPad being the iPad Air 2, it still does come with the exact same wall connector here. So who knows how long it's actually going to take to charge it, we'll just have to see, but you can also pull this piece out of it and you can interchange it depending on whether you travel or whether you actually live outside of the US, because this is the US wall adapter version here. All right, now let's remove the box from the frame and return to the star of this video, the iPad Pro. So bringing this behemoth back over here, you'll notice I have already set it up, so that's why Touch ID does work on it. And if you guys can't already tell how big this iPad is, let me go ahead and set the iPad Air 2 next to it really quick. So there is the iPad Air 2. This is a 9.7-inch iPad versus the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. And of course, here is the iPad Mini, which looks like an absolutely miniature device when compared against the iPad Pro here. So let's go ahead and take the Mini off, and we're actually going to look at the physical aspects of this iPad Pro here, because there are a few things that are different. So on the front, it does look like your typical iPad. We do have the home button at the bottom with the Touch ID sensor, as well as a 1.2 megapixel iSight camera on the front. And flipping it over on the back, we do have an 8 megapixel camera, as well as dual microphones, similar to the other latest iPads, being the iPad Air 2 and Mini 4. We also have the volume rocker, as well as the power and lock switch there. And we do actually have dual microphones. So let's go ahead and take a look at the top. Just opposite of the lock switch, we do have the headphone jack port, and beneath the two, we have dual speakers. But it's not just dual speakers, it's actually quad speakers. So let's go ahead and flip this around here. And on the bottom, you'll notice that we have two other speaker cutouts, as well as the regular lightning connector there in the middle of them. And one other thing to note is that on the left-hand side of this iPad Pro, we do have these 3 magnetic contacts that will actually send power to the smart keyboard accessory, and it will also send data back and forth between the two. So these are magnetic, they're pretty discreet, you won't even really notice them until you need to use a smart keyboard accessory, if you even want to, that is. And before we conclude this video, I want to show you guys a few quick things. So let's go ahead and open up Safari here, and you'll notice that the difference between these two when we're on the same page is phenomenal. So you can see so much more. We do have my main trailer here at the top when we're on my YouTube channel page, and then we're actually all the way down to the secondary playlist. So there is so much more screen real estate that you can see. And let's actually just go ahead and tap this little X. I'm sure we'll get more. Yep, we get an extra video down below there at the bottom. So that's crazy, guys. You can see so much of a web page on an iPad Pro. Let's go ahead and bring up the keyboard, because this is another thing I wanted to demonstrate quickly. So we have a completely revised keyboard on the iPad Pro to take advantage of that larger screen. So beyond just the regular QWERTY keyboard that we have on the iPad Air 2, we do have a few different improvements on the iPad Pro here. So these bottom keys are bigger, and we also have a completely revised shift key. So now it says shift instead of simply having an arrow. We have that on both sides. We also have a dedicated caps locks key, so we can use it instead of shift if we want to type in all caps. And then also too, you will notice that we have an extra row toward the top, and the delete key is different. It now says delete, similar to the improved shift keys. And if we wanted to, we could access these symbols that correspond to the numbers in the top row there simply by pressing on shift. So let's say we wanted to type an @ symbol, all we have to do is press shift and then 2. As you can see, it did type out @ there. So let's go ahead and delete that and get into the final thing here. So I wanted to show you guys the Geekbench 3 comparison between these two devices. Let's go ahead and tap on the little arrow just so we can see some of the information here. So this is an iPad Pro with the identifier of 6,7, and we are on the latest public firmware, iOS 9.1. We do have a 2.26 gigahertz processor. Geekbench hasn't been updated to actually recognize that this is an A9X, but it is Apple's newest SoC. It's even newer than the ones we find in the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, because this is an X variation, like we have an A8X over here on the iPad Air 2. This is an A9X with 4 gigabytes of RAM versus 2. Let's go ahead and run these benchmark tests. They will finish very fast over here on the iPad Pro. For those of you who don't know, Geekbench just kind of provides you with a general score that acts as a numeric representation of your device's computing capabilities. And as I just finished saying that, Geekbench finished here on the iPad Pro with some pretty impressive numbers. We are still waiting on the iPad Air 2, and it should be done now. So let's go ahead and compare these guys. You'll notice it is amazing amazing. We have a significantly higher single core score, and we do have an improved multi-core score. But again, the biggest jump here is in the single core score, 3200 versus 1800 and 5400 for multi-core versus 4500. So you will get some great performance on the iPad Pro. I'm really excited to see what people do with this device, especially now that it does have 4 gigabytes of RAM. Hopefully we'll start to see some Pro designated applications, and I would really love to receive a Final Cut Pro X app for the iPad Pro. Get on that, Apple. And now as we conclude for giveaway instructions, if you guys want to win a brand new 4th gen Apple TV, navigate to freeappsfast.com inside of Mobile Safari and sign up. It's very simple. Once you do download one or more of the sponsored apps you see in the main section, just ensure that you earn points. Go to the 4th tab, you see that referral link, take what appears after the equals symbol and post it in the comments section of my unboxing of the Apple TV 4. Again, that is linked for you guys in your cards. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to be updated more often, such as when I release new ones covering various things ranging from the iPad Pro to jailbreaking, just be sure to click the subscribe button down below next to my channel name if you have yet to. Like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And I'm also contemplating doing an iPad Pro giveaway, so if you want to see that, let me know down below in the comments section. And of course, just be sure to rate this video up. That will be a great indicator of whether I should do a new iPad Pro giveaway. And until next time, this is ACU signing out.